First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for attending tonight. Different circumstances, but it looks like this could be the way forward for the foreseeable future. So hopefully, if we can have a good success with this tonight, we can put the word out and to other members, and to try and let them know that it's not just that difficult to come on and have a meeting over Zoom, and we can still have a technical evening and all just as well, obviously without the social aspect, but that's really the way we're going to be for a wee while. So just a wee note I wanted to say, just as seeing this as my first night as chairman, I was wanting to take the opportunity to thank the members and the committee for electing me to be chairman of the Northern Ireland branch. In particular, I'd like to thank David Johnson for all his hard work over the years as honorary secretary, to Pierce, who's replacing David in that role. Also to Pat O'Connor, who's agreed to be my vice chairman. Special thanks must go to my good friend and colleague, Roy Wallace, for asking me to be his vice. Roy has done a fantastic job during this time, and I can only hope that I can be able to carry on his good work. It is a great honour for me personally to be elected as chairman, and indeed one of the highlights of my career in industry, of which I've been working for 35 years. Firstly as lab technician for William McCluskey and Sons at Temple Quarry, in a current role as operations manager for Conexpo. I have and continue to enjoy my work in the quarry industry, and have made great friends over the years, as well as seeing the vast change in the way we run our business through health and safety, environment, training and technology. The current crisis, however, has required us to adapt even further in the way we run our sites on a daily basis, and how we need to look after all our employees' health and well-being to protect against a hidden threat like COVID-19. Unfortunately, my term has got off to a rocky start, as it was deeply regrettable that we were unable to hold our normal AGM due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and regrettable also that we had to cancel our field trip in McConnell's and our Stone Crushers Ball later on this month. It is unprecedented what we're all facing at this time, but we as individuals have a responsibility to ensure the well-being of ourselves and family, as well as others we may come in contact with. Therefore, I felt that it was necessary to hold our branch meeting via Zoom. As you're all aware, our first and only outing this year was our annual golf day, which was held at Malone Golf Club. And I'd like to thank all the members and visitors who entered 4 balls, and to all the companies who sponsored holes at the event. Thankfully, we were able to get this event over with restrictions in place, and I think that with the weather we got in the day, that everyone enjoyed the crack, and we're glad to get out and about. It is regrettable we have had to make the decision to cancel our annual Stone Crushers Ball in October due to the ongoing restrictions and threat caused by COVID-19. However, next year will be our 60th anniversary of the Northern Ireland branch, so we'll endeavour to mark this occasion with a special event in 2021. So that's really all I'd like to say on that. And could I ask our honorary secretary here's to read out the minutes of the last meeting.
Yeah. So on the 2nd of March 2020, the technical meeting was held in the Technidrive Hotel and Country Club. The chairman welcomed members and guests in the meetings, and apologies were received from Robert Waddell, Seamus O'Neill, David Woodward, Malcolm Morgan, Gerard Lawless, Stephen Horner, Craig Matthews and Stuart Wickie. The minutes of the last meeting were read and agreed. The chairman reminded members of the nominations for the new committee, and that the closing date was the 6th of April. And the speakers on that evening were Kelvin Glass and Derek Harmer from Atlantic Pumps Limited, and they jointly presented the paper. The presentations informed on types of pumps, pump sufficiency, wear problems and solutions, details of how to work out pump capacity based on head of water, friction and of pipelines and pump efficiency were given. Specific pumps for pumping slurry sludge mixers were also discussed, and they finished by giving a detailed giving details of pump performance, monitoring program that is under development, and highlighted information from case studies in that pilot scheme. A question and answer session followed, and a vote of thanks was proposed on behalf of the members by Michael Hardy.
Thanks, Piers. Before we start into our technical speaking for tonight, I'd like to thank David Strain for agreeing to present to us tonight. And obviously doing it over Zoom is a bit strange, although I say it's going to be the norm for the future. David, I don't know where everybody knows him here, but Technidrive Solutions are one of the best companies in their field, and have done a lot of work for me and Conexpo in particular. So I would like to hand over to David. Now, what we'll probably do is mute everybody so as David can put his presentation across without interruptions, and then there'll be time for questions and all after he finishes. Also, there is a wee box on the bottom right-hand side. If you click on the right-hand side of your screen, where you can ask questions by typing in, or there is can't really see it. Yes, if you go into the bottom right-hand side, you'll see where you can put up like a hand, where that'll allow David to know that you want to ask a question, and he can unmute you. So really, I'll be handing this over to David, and he will take control. Thanks, David.
That's perfect. Thank you very much for inviting me along, and I'm delighted to present to you, and hopefully we can do something interesting. So I think everybody is muted there anyway, so I'll just proceed, and anyone wants to jump in and ask any questions, you can either unmute yourself, jump in and ask the question. There's a hands up function, or stick it in the chat and I'll address it. One of the things that we have been doing is throughout lockdown is we've realized this is going to be the way of the future for quite some time. So we have started to produce technical videos, company videos, different things like that, because we know the only way to communicate with our customers going forward is going to be through Zoom and Teams and video and things like that. So we've already started to prepare some content for that. So whenever John had said to me that this was potentially going to be changed to a Zoom meeting as opposed to a live demonstration, we were already sort of semi-prepared. So I want to start off. What I'm going to do is share basically an introductory video, which will give everybody an introduction into what Technidrive does and what we're all about. And so I'll just stick that up here now. So someone give me a thumbs up there if you can see that screen. Can you also hear the sound? Thumbs up. Perfect.
Welcome to Technidrive. We'd like to show you a little bit about what we do here and how our expertise in drive systems and integration enables us to lead the way in our industry.
Technidrive is not just a name. We are not just a supplier, and we are definitely not just a distributor. We are a system integrator. We take the best that our principal suppliers can build. We engineer them together for our client base. We make their products better, more efficient, more reliable, and better than their competitors.
Okay, so did everybody's play all right there? I know James WhatsApp me his didn't play perfectly, but not sure. Well, good. So hopefully that's saved me a little bit of talking, and allow me just to progress straight into a little bit of a PowerPoint then. And from here on in, I want to very much focus on application, and which will hopefully be of interest to us. So Technidrive team, the one with 20 employees, 7 mechanical and electrical engineers, 5 assembly technicians, 3 external sales, and 4 internal sales. And our premier partners, which is a very important slide for us, as it enables us to do what we do on a daily basis. We couldn't do what we do without products, and integrating them in the right places is what makes us so special. So the first one is WEG, and I'm sure you'll all know of WEG in the Korean industry. We're a premier partner now for WEG in the UK and Ireland, which gives us some special features in that we have factory level price support, which allows us to supply into global OEMs such as Terex, CDE, McCluskey, Sandvik, and it also gives us factory level technical support, which is important. We like to think we know all our products inside out, but when we do need to go to that next level of technical support, we do have factory level support that we can get answers to the deeper questions. And then we also take part in joint marketing campaigns. The product range we represent for WEG is electric motors, VSDs, soft starts, all their automation range, alternators, gear motors, and many others. So we really take it right through from power generation right through to the end application. And another special feature of the partnership is the 3-year warranty. So something we've been doing a lot is when we supply an electric motor with the variable speed drive and sell them together as a package, we change the warranty from 1 year up to 3 years. And that gives it means that we find that electric motors and VSDs, 99% of the time they fail because of application issues, because they're installed wrong, because they're not protected correctly, or things like that. So what we do is whenever we select it together, we know it's selected right. You put the VSD with the motor, you know it's protected right, and we can basically upgrade that warranty to a 3-year warranty. So that's another special feature. Another one of our major partners is Bonfiglioli, and we're Bonfiglioli Best Partner, which stands for Bonfiglioli Excellence Service Team. It's the highest accolade in the Bonfiglioli family, and the main feature that this allows us is it basically means that we're a satellite assembly plant. So we no longer stock gearboxes as complete gearboxes, stock them as component parts and build them from scratch. So it allows us to have flexibility of thousands of combinations of gearbox. All can be assembled within 1 hour. It allows us factory level purchasing, factory level technical assistance. We get very, very involved with product development for both mobile, industrial, and we have huge stocks of it as well. The third supplier I want to introduce you to is Hitachi. In 1990, they developed flux vector inverters. That revolutionized the industry, and still to this day, the Hitachi inverter is one of the best performing inverters on the market. The technology has allowed a generation of AC drives, which is now rivaled by most other drive manufacturers. The products include VSDs, HMIs, PLCs, and EMC filters. This is some of the companies that we're currently partners with, which I'm sure all of you will recognize these names and will definitely have some of their equipment in your quarry somewhere, I'm sure. All local global manufacturers and really a testament to this country. Another major part of what we do is automation. So we design, manufacture, and commission full automation systems. So right through from alternator through to VSDs, through to the electric motors and gearboxes, and right to the final thing. And part of what we do is we start off with the design of the complete application, starting off normally with the motor and gearbox, where we do a selection on the motor and gearbox, what the torque requirement needs to be, what the size the electric motor needs to be, go back to the VSD. We then start to look at the control and automation that needs to fit around that VSD. We then design and build the full electrical control system. In-house, we do all the PLC, HMI, program and commission. We do the inverter programming and setup. We have in-house testing areas, and then we do a lot of technical support via phone, email, and remote access, which is becoming more and more a feature of all our automation systems, where we're putting in systems to allow us to access remotely and program and diagnose faults and do all that kind of thing remotely. One of the strengths of the automation department then is what we call soft PLC programming, and different to your normal PLC programming. This is one of the main features of the presentation, and one of the main features I want to show you today is within most modern inverters now, you have soft PLCs built in. What that does is it allows easy programming ladder logic within the VSD, and the VSD has access to all the parameters within the motor. So we can do things like we can virtually have any combination of control. You can monitor torque, speed. You can have dedicated user parameters to sense torque and speed. You can have empty chamber warnings. You can have volume fill and calculations, auto clean cycles. So for example, you can use figures like what current a motor is coming pulling to do something else in the plant, all without adding any PLC or any additional hardware. So you can also use all them things you could use torque, for example, to monitor something, switch something on, control a feeder or a belt according to the torque percentage, and that's all done within the drive. So now I'm going to just take you through about 5 or 6 different application examples, which will hopefully be of some interest to you. So the first one is a Telestack ship loader project. So in this project here, we took on to select a full electrical drives package. So we started off by selecting the correct torque and speed, to selecting the kilowatts of motors that went on, all based around ensuring the customer gets a maximum feed rate through his plant. This is a mobile ship loader for anyone who can't tell from the pictures, but basically the name of the game is loading full ships full of aggregates. So in this particular feeder setup, it can be emptying 4 lorries onto belt feeders at any one time. So we started off, we done the full torque calculations, we done the kVA calcs for the generators, and we then drafted a proposal for WEG VSDs WEG electric motors, Bonfiglioli planetary gearbox, Bonfiglioli bevel helical gear units, auto feed and torque control depending on the load. So we've basically run the belts as fast as they could, according to torque. Now, if the belts, the heavier the belts were loaded, the slower they would run. Basically, we maximized the amount of kilowatts we had so that it was loading as fast as it possibly could. If the belts were quite empty because the lorries were pulling away at the end of their load or at the start of their load, the belts basically run as fast as they could. So we done all this, provided 3-year warranties and everything, and we supplied the customer with the pre-programmed VSDs and all the assistance throughout the project. We done all the remote commissioning in the Middle East, so we were able to do that all without visiting site, all over the internet. Another example, it's not specific to your industry, however, I thought I'd include it, is a marine evacuation system we do, which is winches basically. So bespoke winches, it's just to show you our capability to do any sort of bespoke system. In this case, we designed and manufactured via subcontractors over 100 winches that go on cruise ships for lowering life rafts into the sea. So it's a very interesting application for us, one we do for another local manufacturer here in Northern Ireland, Survive Tech. So, and we have the same, we do an offshore marine evacuation system for the same company, and again something that we designed from scratch, done all the FEA analysis, all the life cycle testing, and we basically completed that project in 8 months from start to finish. Another place we're very strong is the water sector. I know some of you will have wash plants and thickeners and whatnot in your plants. So we do a lot of WAIM specification motors, automation and thickeners, IP upgrades, couplings, torque control, auto sequence control, smart pump control. So we've done a lot of selections and design for, again, items within the water sector. And then this is one that will definitely be of interest to you, and I'd be pretty certain you'll all have gearboxes of this type within your quarries. It's a compact feeder drive. So it's a bespoke design by Technidrive and Bonfiglioli together. And basically what we do is we take a track drive design, which is very similar to the gearbox you would see inside the tracks of your JCB excavator. They're a very, very high torque compact gearbox, and they're normally not that easily adapted into industrial applications. So what we do is it basically goes into the head drum like it is in that bottom graphic, and it allows us to have no exposed oil seals. It acts as a drive side bearing, 50% reduction in mass and a 30% reduction in cost. And I've included some pictures here of it in application. And I guess now to break things up again, we have produced a wee bit of a marketing video on this exact application, which I will show you now. Welcome to Technidrive. My name is David Strain, and today I'm here to introduce drum drive products. One of the main reasons why I want to introduce this product is this here is a typical bevel helical gear unit that is widely used in the industry for feeders, for high torque, low speed applications. The product we have here is an exact equivalent in terms of power, torque and speed. So obviously with that having the same power, torque and speed, it has a lot less mass it's a lot smaller in physical size, and it has a large reduction in cost. Some of you conveyor design engineers will recognise there's no conveyor head drum bearing here. So another advantage of this unit is it has a very high radial load capacity due to it being a track drive design. That gets rid of the need for a head drum bearing and essentially acts as the bearing, which offers a further cost saving. One of the other major advantages that this drive can offer is there's no exposed oil seals. So in here, this is completely enclosed. In here, there is oil seals, but they're again completely enclosed and sealed away. And in here, there's an oil seal which is again enclosed and sealed away from any elements of dust or water. What we have done is we've put together a comparison table of a standard bevel helical drive in this column and the drum drive in this column. So for motor power, we've used a comparable 4 kilowatt. We've used a comparable ratio, very similar. We have used a similar output speed and a very similar torque output because the power and ratio is the same. So the start of the advantages, we start to see the service factor. You've approximately 20% more capacity in the 805 than the 804. The shaft radial load is 105 kilonewtons compared to 65, meaning we have 60% more radial load capacity. Our mass is 138 compared to 292, which means we're 52% lighter. And in terms of cost, on this particular specification, it's 32%. That varies depending on the exact spec. However, that's an average. The other advantage we have is there's extensive stock configurations available, made up from stock and Technidrive. Okay, so I have one more application to show to you, which is the main point of the presentation, to be honest, and that's the crusher on block. Let me just get this open again. That's the crusher on block sequence. So what we have is, and I'm sure it will be of interest to you all. So hopefully you can all see the presentation again. So sorry, just before I go on to the crusher on block, one last thing I want to show you before it is synchronization systems. So we do a lot of premium open gears, which are all manufactured to our own brand, ISO 9001 standards, high carbon nickel alloy steel certified materials, and these are all made to custom specifications. We use them on shredders, log washers, slew drives, mixers. There's an example of two in a mixer. So this was a retrofit to an asphalt mixer. There's been lots of problems with gearbox and asphalt mixers in the industry. So in this application, we took measurements of the gears, got them made to measure, and replaced some unreliable gearboxes which were causing problems. That application was done 2 years ago. There's an oil bath around them gears which is missing. But that application was done 2 years ago. It's been very successful for us. So, okay. The next application that I want to show you is, which I think will be a big advantage to certainly anyone who has a primary jaw crusher in their plant. I don't know, a couple of the members here has already got this system. Unfortunately, I don't think either of them is in the meeting. One's FP McCann's and the other's Breeding Group. But it's a basically auto unblock crusher system, and one which we've been developing for probably 4 to 5 years. What it is it's a completely automated unblock sequence. It's extremely powerful performance. It is empty chamber signals. It's a significant reduction in downtime, and there's no more digging out of crushers. It increases life expectancy, and it can also provide energy saving via variable speed drive. So we basically achieve this through control. There's no magic in terms of anything different on the jaw crusher. It's just better control and putting the VSD on the jaw crusher. So again, I've put together a marketing video for it, and that marketing video shows the actual unblock sequence happening. So I'm just going to flick that video now, and then after it, that's me done, and we can go into some questions about the system. This system we have developed basically unblocks our crusher from a static position using forward and reverse in action, using several parameters, including current, speed, DC bus voltage. I just want to talk through some of the advantages that this system brings to quarry operators. As most quarry operators know, it's a major problem when a jaw crusher stops full of stones. It requires a jackhammer or a winch or someone to manually go in and remove stones out. This system completely automatically goes forward and reverse to remove them. It is a major advantage for health and safety because no operator needs to be near the crusher when it's done. It's done by simple press of a button. The system does completely automatically, and then whenever it's ran free, it gives the unblock complete signal. Another advantage is the protection of the electric motor and the jaw itself. Because we are monitoring so many parameters, we offer a much superior protection over traditional methods, and that can increase motor life and equipment life. For that reason, we can also upgrade the warranty to 3-year warranties on inverter and motor. And the last major advantage is time. As we all know, time is money, and the time aspect with unblocking a full crusher can be astronomical. So this system, normally within 4 to 5 minutes, the crusher's fully functional again and running clear. Okay, that's me. I think that video might have been a little bit jumpy for some people. I know James and Gary was texting me there to let me know that it was a little bit jumpy for them. But what I will do is I'll put all the links for the videos in the email to Sarah so that she can share the copy of the presentation and the links. But I'm sure it's a pity. I actually spoke to Jared Lawless from Breeding Group today about if he was going to be in, he could give me some live feedback on it. You could hear it from him as opposed to hearing it from me. But it genuinely, for some of the operators who we have introduced the system to, it is amazing, where they've maybe spent half a day digging out jaw crushers on a regular occasion and then going to pressing a button within 5 minutes having the jaw completely cleared. So it is a fairly innovative and very, very good system. The other thing then that we do now with not just it, but we've done several automation systems in the quarry industry is we're doing everything now with remote access. So we've come up with what we call a Technidrive package, and it basically allows us anything we install, we can basically add on a remote access package, which allows us to log in at any point and change parameters, look up faults, things like that. And also give you remote access. So not just give us remote access, we can then give people links, basically a web address on their phone, which is password protected, of course, which allows you to log in and see the HMI in your plant, see what your throughputs are, see what the currents are, and things like that. So we're really pushing forward that whole remote access thing, which is what the industry is asking us for. So any questions, any feedback, feel free to unmute yourselves and ask away.
Yeah, David Pierce here. In terms of the videos they're a wee bit jumpy, but the audio was fine when people were speaking. We could hear it perfectly. Obviously curious about the unblock system. Having stood at a crusher many times with a start-stop button, trying to lock it. I suppose the key thing is kind of the position at which, when the crusher does stop, that it actually comes to a full stop. Because if it was at a point where it wouldn't get any swing to it, so yeah. Does the system identify by load that and then reverse the direction, or what's the
pretty much, yeah. So we as I said at the start, there's no real magic wand solution in terms of you can't increase the torque of the motor anything beyond. You could double the size of the motor and you would start your crusher straight away, but no one wants a 300 kilowatt motor and a 168 kilowatt application. So you basically use what you have there, and the biggest advantage you have is the flywheel, as you say. So what we do is it's using an inverter, obviously, which is the only piece of hardware you have to add. But we try to accelerate in up to, we've done it now on up to 250 kilowatts motor in 0.1 of a second. Now, it can't actually accelerate a 250 kilowatt motor in 0.1 of a second, but what it can do is try. And then when it gets it into that top position, it then basically holds it there and accelerates it in the other direction. Holds it there and accelerates it in the other direction. So as long as it can get that, well, it can always get a little bit of movement because of the design of the jaw. No matter how hard you pack it, you'll still be able to, rotate a little bit in the other direction. The more movement you can get in one direction, the more swing you can get back the other way. And at no point do we actually try to start, if you know what I mean. So if we are starting at 0.1 of a second and it does happen to break through first time, the drive instantly starts to extend all its acceleration times, because it would just trip or it would just pull down the power supply. So the minute it breaks through, it just extends out all them times dynamically within the drive, which then lets it ramp up slowly. And if whenever I send you the video, you'll hear in the background the crusher actually laboring to start up. And then the other thing is we do have a couple of live examples inside Northern Ireland working if someone wanted to view it.
So has the situation ever arose where there has been a blockage that you can't start?
No. No.
And the only other follow-on is, what about that technology in terms of a gyratory of a cone? Is there any?
Yes, we have done it on cones. To be honest, we haven't ever needed to reverse on cones. Like one of the things we've done on cones is basically most of them are on soft start as opposed to inverter. But what we've done is put in like a second set of parameters, like a really aggressive set, and then give a switch to operators so that they can switch on their aggressive starting method. Started in the aggressive starting method, but we've never actually used a forward and reversing action as such for a cone, to be honest with you, Pierce. Obviously, with no flywheel, it wouldn't be as effective.
Yeah,
it could still be effective.
Right, interesting. It's interesting because I had men spend on last Wednesday, the real bad weather, spent 9 to 10 hours on blocking a Metso GP300. So,
right,
yeah, something to do a bit easier would help.
Yeah.
David, Mark Feckus from Sandvik. Other crusher suppliers are available. So just to say thank you very much for the presentation, very interesting. But I think for me, one of the most interesting things is that on-block system doesn't put any additional forces onto the crusher bearings or anything like that, which is a key. And just for Pierce as well, one of the reasons, just as a crusher supplier, we don't like to reverse the crushers is because of the bevel gears. It's not good for the internals. But I mean, I think that was a fantastic presentation and a very good system to have. On the cone crushers, the bevel gears, you don't like reversing? No. On the yeah. They're inside. They do the reduction gear for the eccentric, but there's no bevel gear in your jaw. No. And I mean, as you say, most cone crushers, I mean, you just up the torque and the start up, and then it's no problem. And yet again, there you have to be careful. If you put too much power in, you squeeze the oil out of the oil galleries and can cause a seizure. But I think that's a fantastic system. Yeah, it works very well. We had a few of your guys down. I've been working very closely with Stephen Beatty, and we've had him in to see the system, starting on unblocking. The one that we have working live is in a breeding group in Temple, and then we have one in FP McCann's, and the one in FP McCann's about a 20-year-old jaw crusher. And the day we got it going, the guy who was operating it thought he was going to hug me. Whenever we literally unblocked it in 5 minutes, what normally took him 5 to 6 hours, he was fairly happy now. I can understand that. Yeah.
David, I had a couple of questions. I sent you a couple of questions there via the chat box. One of them we answered there. What's the maximum size you can use up to your unblocker, and you're talking in order of 250 kilowatt, that sort of size. The other thing I was interested about your motor head drum units there with the reduction box in them. Those usually have a service interval whenever they're on excavators or such like. What provision have you in place for that service? In other words, to contain oil, which normally is the case.
Yeah, so there's two gearboxes on the 805. It's an 805W, so it's a gearbox that has been widely used as a hydraulic version in feeders on Terex and Sandvik and McCluskey machines, and what we've basically done is added a second gearbox on that to basically make it fully electric. So it is accessible in terms of oil. There's no sight glass as such in it because it's a rotating gearbox. There's no sight glass. There's no real way of telling what the oil level is in it. But for a service interval, the outside gearbox has to be removed, to get the oil from the track drive, but the oil can be accessed from the drive side of it. So it's being perfectly honest with you, it's not the most easy serviceable gearbox. So what we do is we oil fill it for life, really, with synthetic oil. However, it can be changed if required. So that's what we do in terms of oil. So it is the little outside gearbox. Then it's just a standard bevel helical gearbox, which has its standard, fill plugs and drain plugs and things like that. I think one of the things on that track drive gearbox thing is it's probably quite difficult for end users to incorporate into existing equipment. It's more so for manufacturers, or if you're manufacturing a new piece of plant, it'd be reasonably difficult to integrate into old equipment, as in it would require modification to the whole head section of the conveyor and the new drum. Whereas if you're manufacturing new equipment, and especially mobile equipment, it's a major advantage in terms of weight and size and everything else. So.
Good. Thanks.
The other one there, the kilowatts on the crusher system, we've now done 75 kilowatt in McCaffrey quarries. We've done 90 kilowatt, 160 kilowatt, and 250 kilowatt, and 200 kilowatts. So yeah, we've pretty much done all sizes. And to come back to your question, Pierce, we've had a lot of testing over the last 5 years, and whenever you do a system like this, the first thing the operator wants to do is catch you out and make you fail. And there's been lots of times there's been a crusher stopped full or particularly hard rock brought to the crusher, and thankfully I've never had to manually dig one out yet. So yep.
Could I ask a question, please?
Sure.
Pat O'Connor here from Breedens. You see, when you're talking about the thing about the crusher on blocking, we'll see a big stone go down into the crusher, and as you talked earlier on, David, about the hammer and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
And it takes a while to clear it. If a stone go down into the crusher, would you need to stop the jaw and do what you have to do, or what way would that work?
So
I'm talking about like a boulder, no way that sometimes maybe the machine man puts a big one on by mistake, or maybe he wants a rest or something like that there,
where the jaw actually isn't, the jaw is still moving, but not catching the rock.
That's right.
No, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. So that's the one application where you're still, it doesn't replace the jackhammer. So
right
in the early days, that's I'm saying what's the need for this jackhammer? Get rid of it completely.
Yeah.
But there is still that occasion whenever the jaw is actually not catching it but still running.
Yeah.
No, ours is only for starting. So whenever the jaw is completely static, sitting stopped, yeah, that's the only application for it. So
okay, all right, thank you.
In that situation, David, could you stop the jaw deliberately, and then with the slowdown, the chances are it could actually distort?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing about the system is that it'll give operators the confidence, or you the confidence, that you're not afraid to stop it. You're not afraid to hit the e-stop, because who cares if it stops full? Whenever we go to test it, we stop it full 15, 20 times. So yes, if when it's ramping down, the stone does happen to fall down into a position that it'll catch, well, that'll solve the problem. Then you can literally then just start with your unblock sequence. So that is an option. Yeah. It definitely is.
So you could stop it with the big one in, and then could you?
Yes. Yeah. sorry, I didn't actually pick up on that the first time, because I have seen it where a jaw's been running and they haven't been able, but there's no problem in stopping it full yet. At any point, because that's, when we're testing one, that's what we do.
Right. Okay.
So it is. Yeah. And then we have, the other thing is that for a very small extra, what we do is we're including the remote access thing. We don't actually have one on your temple, Corey, but if for any reason then it can't be started, or there's a fault comes up or anything like that, there we can log in remotely,
Right.
check out any faults, anything like that, dynamically change parameters, whatever needs done from that end.
Okay. Could I ask another question, please?
Go for it.
Yeah, you talked about waste plants earlier on, David.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you ever do anything with desludging with rakes or anything like that there days? As in, if rakes could maybe stop at night or something like that there, is there any way that they can get them to go again?
For starting, the problem, we have done actually quite a lot with rakes, but more so the opposite. We were trying to protect the rakes against starting full, because whilst we could a lot of them rakes are in very, very high reduction gearboxes, and normally the motor has enough torque to not only start it but brake the rakes. So that is the main problem with the rakes, is while we could probably give you enough torque to start it, it's whenever that sludge settles, really, you become at risk of breaking rakes. So we've done more so on the opposite side, where we've used VSDs or used torque limiters to actually offer protection against breaking either gearboxes or couplings or rakes. But I know your problem well, and I've heard it. I've heard it off a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. Sometime you should come down and we'll show it to you firsthand.
I must plan that in. I'll send you my number.
I have it anyway. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you. Anybody else got anything they want to ask? I'll share these links for the videos and the presentation all with, I assume you have this full email list, Sarah? Perfect.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Yes, it's the short answer. And obviously we've recorded the presentation that you've given as well. So obviously we'll edit it all up and send you a link out to that as well, just if you want to watch it again.
I really look forward to that.
Well, thank you, David, for that. That was very interesting. All well put together presentation, all relevant stuff to just quarrymen. I was just wanting to ask Stephen Robinson if he would mind sort of giving a wee note of thanks.
David, John, and certainly as a new way of doing business, having our technical meetings via Zoom. My brother Alec is also a great attender of the technical meetings, but we just sort of haven't got him out the dinosaur age a wee bit, but we'll get him there eventually, and he'll be able to join with us now. A great presentation, David, and it come across very well with the Zoom, to tell you the truth now. When I think about all the evenings we had up with the Technidrive, now it would have certainly your presentation would have matched anything we've seen. I found it very interesting while you were talking and showing the different scenarios that are rattling around my head where we could have an application for each. We have a wee bit of a disadvantage that our plant is quite matured. It's been there quite some time, and just, I'm thinking where we'll start to retrofit. Whenever you were talking about some of the applications for primarily suit new plants, such as the motorhead drive unit, that sort of thing. But I'd love to be 30 years younger to starting again. There's so much more in terms of equipment from the you guys and others that would be available now. In the past, you got a conveyor drum and you put a gearbox and a motor in of it, and if it turned, it was great, and if it didn't turn, well, you just went and got another one, a bigger one even. But I can see now from what you're saying, the idea of burning out electric motors anymore, since the whole thing is designed right from the word go, and facilities you have there to do it. The idea of burning out motors or destroying drives now is all a thing of the past, which is all good. And it's all about more uptime for production for us in the quarry industry. You've put a lot of time and effort into preparing a presentation for us this evening, and it's come across very well. I think the rest of the members, from what I can see now, I enjoyed it. It was good to sit and watch. It's something I had of interest. And what I will say on behalf of the members is to thank you very much for all the effort you've put in prior to this evening. The presentation is really the easy bit. Whenever someone asks you to make a presentation, it's all the days of work prior to that to make sure you got the information gathered up. And that's what most people don't realise, unless you've done it yourself, you get the thing right. So thanks again for your time. Thanks again for joining us this evening and putting it together. And we normally, in the time-honoured fashion, is show a round of applause. So we could do that possibly visually on this occasion, David. So on behalf of the member of the Institute, thank you very much.
Thank you. No problem, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen, for that there. And thanks again, David, for all your hard work and putting that across for us tonight.
No problem. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll share all the relevant data then.
Yeah, I think if we can get it out to the rest of the members, so it's even for their CPD and stuff and all, people can get it all and watch the presentation and use it as part of their training. Obviously, next month our meeting is the 2nd of November, where it's Claire Kelly of HSC and I, who will be giving a talk on mental health issues, something very relevant in today's climate. And hopefully, we can only hope that we'll be in the Technidrive, but I can't see it. I personally think it'll be over Zoom. So I'll get something out and say the next week or so to everybody to give them a bit of prior notice. We sort of left it maybe too late this time because we were sort of really waiting to see how things went. But I think we just need to make the call now that it's going to be electronic and just get the word out, and hopefully we'll get more people interested in joining the next meeting. Again, if everybody can pass on the word that actually worked quite well, and that was an enjoyable evening, and we'll try and get more to the next meeting. So, is anybody else anything that would like to pass on this evening?
Yeah, apologies for not getting in earlier, John. I've tried my best. I've been in on my phone here, so I have. So sorry about that.
No problem, Pat. Glad you made it in the end up.
I thought you had a big stone on the crusher. It was needing unblocked or something.
Used to do that with a wire rope and the tooth of the bucket too in the end of it.
Usually tied onto the back of the dumper or something, truly.
No, we used to hide it. Stand that back.
I would just like, before I finally forgot, to thank Sarah for helping us set this all up this evening. Very much appreciated, and it will be a bit of a learning curve for us as we go forward. But thank you very much for all your help.
No, it's a pleasure, and it's a learning curve for all the branches. So don't don't think you're on your own. Everybody's sort of struggling with this and trying to kind of replicate, the value that the branches provide to members, in this kind of new world, in this new format. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of experiences from the other branches coming forward over the next few weeks that, hopefully everybody can learn from. So it's a roller coaster for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks, Sarah, for all your help. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much again for a strange first meeting for myself, but I appreciate everybody's attending tonight. And David, thanks again for doing the presentation. Very much appreciated. So if nobody else has anything to say this evening, I think that will be it, and we can go and get the dinner.
You're right. Jaffa cake.
Thank you very much, John and Sarah, David. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, John, Sarah.
Thanks, folks. All the best. Thank you.